Hare Krishna, Namaste.
Chapter 13 is entitled as Kshetrajna Yoga, also as Prakriti Purusha Vibhaga Yoga, also as Prakriti Purusha Viveka Yoga. Gitasu Gita Kartavya Kimanya Shastra Vistaraihi Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukha Padmat Vinishrita. This is a sloka in Gita Mahatmya which glorifies Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, which is spoken by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, has everything that one needs to know about the realities. Because it's spoken by Krishna, one need not read any other literatures. If one attentively and regularly hear and study Bhagavad Gita, that is sufficient enough. As in current age, people are absorbed in many mundane activities. Therefore, it is not possible for all of them to read the vast Vedic literatures. And also, it's not necessary our expectation that everyone must read everything. Therefore, out of great kindness, Krishna has given just one book, one literature, which is Bhagavad Gita, and that suffices everything, because it is the essence of all the Vedic literature, and especially because it is spoken by Krishna himself. It is completely because of the grace of Krishna we were able to successfully complete 12 chapters. The 2 sections of Bhagavad Gita. We are now entering into the 3rd section. The entire Bhagavad Gita is grouped into 3 sections. From chapter 1 to 6 is the first section. From chapter 7 to 12 is the second section, and from chapter 13 through 18 is the 3rd section. Awareness of Atma, the soul, realization of Atma, and the direct vision of Atma, which we saw as Atma Sakshatkara, is the part which is called Anga of the worship of the Supreme Lord. Karma and Jnana Yoga constitute the means, upaya, to accomplish this Atma Sakshatkara, the direct perception of the Self, Atma. This is what elaborated in the first Shadga, the first section of Bhagavad Gita, from chapter 1 through 6. Actually, starting from chapter 2, sloka 11, because chapter 1 to the point of chapter 2, sloka 10, it's pretty much Arjuna's concerns, his worries, his lamentation, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. And from 2.11 onwards, Krishna gives the knowledge about Atma. And in the following chapters, till chapter 6, Krishna elaborates further on how to attain that Atma Sakshatkara, the direct perception of the self. Now, this first 6 chapters, the first Shadga, is further grouped into 2. Chapter 1 and 2 is about Atma Swarupa, the nature of the Atma. What is Atma? How it is different from the body, so forth. And from chapter 3 to 6 are the means to attain that Atma. And those means are Karma and Jnana Yoga. That is explained in the first 6 chapters. And in the second section, that is from chapter 7 to 12, it's purely on Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga was propounded as the direct means to attain Krishna. It is not through karma or jnana that one can attain Krishna. It's only through Bhakti Yoga that one can attain Krishna. And that is elaborated in 7 through 12. Again, this section is grouped into 2, like the previous section. The previous section, it is chapter 1 and 2, one part, and 3, 4, 5, 6 is the second part. Whereas in the second section, that is from 7th to 12th chapter, the first part is the first 3 chapters, 7, 8 and 9, and the second part is 10, 11 and 12. In the first part of the second section, that is 7, 8, 9, nature of the bhakti is being elaborated. And in the second part of the second section, that is 10, 11 and 12 chapter, how does the bhakti take birth in our heart? How it grows? Those are the subject matter for these 3 chapters in the second Sadgam. Now, the third section which we are entering into is from chapter 13 through 18. The topics that deals in these 6 chapters are the topics from first section and the second section of Bhagavad Gita, that is from chapter 1 through 12. But it is not a repetition, it is an elaboration of what has been discussed in the first 12 chapters with more details, and whatever has been missed out in the first 12 chapter are covered in these 6 chapters. The reason that topics are elaborated further over here to remove any bit of doubt that one might have on these topics which was covered earlier. Therefore, there is no fault in Bhagavad Gita one saying it's a repetition. Rather, it is elaboration so that there is no any further doubt on what has been discussed. The third Shadgam, that is chapter 13 through 18, also grouped into 2, like the previous section. 13, 14, 15, first part. 16, 17, 18 is the second part. In the first part, the 3 truths, realities are spoken. They are Chit, Achit and Ishvara, which means sentient, the non-sentient and the absolute truth, Ishvara. The later 3 chapters amplify the means for attainment by doing our deeds, either by karma yoga or by Jnana Yoga, or by Bhakti Yoga. That is the subject matter for the second part of the third section from chapters 16 through 18. How to perform our karmas, our activities. The essential nature of karma, jnana and bhakti are explained in these three chapters. This is how very nicely the entire Bhagavad Gita is structured. Very easy to remember. The first 6 chapter is to attain Atma Sakshatkara, and the means to attain that is Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. Once after attaining the direct perception of the self, a person enters into the Bhakti Yoga, establishing the knowledge and the relationship with Paramatma. So the first 6 chapters about Atma, and the second 6 chapters is about Paramatma through the process of Bhakti Yoga. And the third section is about the matter, the living entity, the supreme entity, and their function, how they all function, are elaborated in the last section. We will see an overview of chapter 13. This chapter 13 is entitled as Kshetrajna Yoga, also as Prakriti Purusha Vibhaga Yoga, also as Prakriti Purusha Viveka Yoga, but it all means the same. This chapter has total of 35 slokas, and the 5 topics that's been discussed in this chapter are: number 1, the nature of the body; number 2, the qualities which are the means for the realization of the self; number 3, the special distinguished aspect inherent in the nature of the self, the Atma, when it's unconnected with matter, the Prakriti; number 4, the cause of bondage, that is, the reason for entanglement with Prakriti; number 5, the manner in which the self is to be discriminated and studied. So it's the nature of the body, the qualities which are the means to realize the self, the special aspects of the soul when it's unconnected with the Prakriti, the cause of bondage for our entanglement, and the discrimination, understanding of self and Prakriti. The first topic, which is the nature of the body, Deha Swarupa, is not new, which was covered in the second chapter. Then why Krishna is repeating it again here? Because the nature of that subject is so very difficult to keep it constantly in our thought. How much ever we learn, how much ever we hear, we always go back to thinking this body to be the self, always identifying ourselves with the body and keep forgetting that we are Atma. Therefore, out of compassion, Krishna again brings up the topic in this chapter. But of course, not the same slokas, different slokas with more details to it. The 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether, ahankara, mahan and prakriti, these are the material causes of the body. The 11 indriyas and the 5 subtle elements, that is Rupa, Rasa, Gandha, Sparsha, Sabda, that is the sight, taste, smell, touch and sound, or the substance situated in the body. Desire and hate, pleasure and pain, or the transformations that happens to the self due to its contact with the body. And this body that we have is assigned to us by the Supreme Lord as an instrument to enable the self-experience, the results of virtuous deeds and sinful deeds that we have done in past. So the body is given for that reason. So we go through the experiences of our karmas, the previous karmas. So this has to be clearly understood by everyone, that this body that I have is the result of my previous karma. Unless and until we see the body in that angle, one will not be able to progress further into the path of bhakti. The second topic describes the method of attaining the self. The self is Atma, which is transcended from the body. Because Atma is not the product of material nature, meaning it is not made of those 8 elements or the 24 elements in total. It is different from them. So, what will be discussed in this chapter is Atmapti Hetu, explains qualities that are instrumental to knowing the self, that is, being free from pride, prestige, etc. Cultivating devotional qualities, having submissive nature towards one's guru and superior. That's the second subject. Further, the topic will clearly clarify that the nature of the pure self is completely free from contact with Prakriti. That is, the self, Atma, is different from the body. He has without a beginning. He is subservient to the absolute truth, Krishna. He has the ability to perceive everything without needing of the Indriyas. The Atma doesn't need what we have currently, the Indriyas, eyes, nose, tongue, ears, skin, to perceive things. Without that, it will be able to perceive everything. So this topic of Vishodhanam is discussed as the third subject matter. Also, this chapter describes the cause that brings about the association of self with Prakriti. When the Atma, self, is in the association of the Prakriti, the guna, sattva guna, rajo guna and tamo guna brings about happiness and sorrow, attachment and hatred. Due to these emotional factors, one tends to do certain actions. Those actions, which in turn will give an experience and causes further bondage. Bandhetuhu. So this is the fourth subject matter. And lastly, the manner of contemplating the self as distinct and different from the body. All the moving and non-moving entities are only the outcome of the interaction between the non-sentient Prakriti and the sentient Atma. Even though we see so many different objects around us, the moving and non-moving, but the self, which is Atma, residing in these different bodies are similar. The differences lies only on the external, that is the body. Even though the body are different, the Atmas are similar. All the Atmas are of same nature that we pointed out earlier. The body perishes, the self does not. Only he who sincerely and seriously analyzes on these lines is considered to be a man of determination. He is able to differentiate and see the differences between the bodies and realizes that the body is perishable and the Atma within the body is imperishable and eternal, doesn't have a beginning, is considered to be a person of having viveka, a discrimination power between the body and Atma. In the first sloka of this chapter, Arjuna will raise a question which has 6 parts to it. Number 1, about Prakriti, that is the material nature. Number 2, Purusha, the enjoyer, that is none other than the self, that is Atma. Number 3, Kshetram, the field where the enjoyer enjoys. Number 4, Kshetrajnam, the knower of the field. This is also Atma. The difference between the second and this is, first one is just about the enjoyer. Who's the enjoyer? Who's residing in the field which is body. And there are people who know that they are in the body, or there are people who think that they are this body. The one who knows that they are in the body, or Kshetrajna, knower of the field. That is the fourth one. And the fifth one, Jnanam, the knowledge will be discussed. And then the last, sixth one is Jnayam, the object of that knowledge. Knowledge is about knowing about an object. That is the sixth question. Sloka number 2 to 7 covers the answer for third, fourth and fifth question, which is Kshetram, Kshetrajnam, Jnanam, the field, the knower of the field, knowledge. And 8 through 12 completely focus on the process of acquiring knowledge, that is on the fifth question. And 13 through 19 sloka, Jneyam, the sixth question, the object of knowledge, is addressed. And 20 to 26, Prakriti, Purusha and their union, that is the first and second question, are discussed. And 27 through 35, the vision of knowledge, Jnana Chakshushu, is the subject. That is, the 5 topics that we saw earlier are covered over here in the same order. The Deha Swarupa, the nature of the body, from 2 to 7, and Atmapti Hetuhu, the qualities that are discussed from 8 to 12, and the Atma Vishodhana, that is the distinguished aspect of the pure soul unconnected with Prakriti, is discussed between 13 through 19, and from 20 to 26, the Bandha Hetuhu, the cause of bondage, the reason for the entanglement with the Prakriti, and the last subject, Vivekascha, the vision of the knowledge to discriminate and study the Purusha and Prakriti, which is covered in 27th through 35th sloka.
Namaste. Hare Krishna.